Hello everyone, so today I am here to show you guys all of the books that I've read in March. March was an awesome reading month for me. Not only did I manage to read 8 books, but I also read several incredible books that were actually put on my favorites list, which I'm not one to give every single book 5 stars. I'm kind of critical sometimes of books, but I just read some incredible books this month. So getting right on into it, the first book that I finished this month was The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. I have an entire book talk on this right here if you want to click for a non-spoiler review. This book I gave 5 out of 5 stars and also a place on my favorites list. I thought it was absolutely wonderful. It was such a magical read, and also I loved the historical fiction aspects and the different culture that we got to learn from this book that takes place in Barcelona. But if you'd like to know more of my thoughts, just click right here on the screen or down below to see my review on it. The next book that I finished was Tatiana and Alexander by Paulina Simmons, however you want to pronounce her name. I read The Bronze Horseman back in December and January, and I ended up really enjoying that book. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. It was a little ridiculous. It was very, very long. It felt very long. It took me a long time to read. But I did enjoy it in the end, so I wanted to pick up the second book. I did not enjoy this book very much. I only gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. I had a lot of problems that I guess I just didn't really see in the first book with this. We get to learn a lot more about Alexander and his past, and we actually get to read from his point of view a bit more. But honestly, reading from his point of view made me hate him as a character. I thought he was an absolute scumbag by the end of this book. And I really hated their relationship, which I thought it was such a cute romantic relationship in the first book. I thought it was very, very toxic and sort of horrible in this book. So I don't really know if I want to continue this series because it is only 3 books, so I only have 1 left. But I really ended up not liking the characters very much in this book, and I honestly found the book to be just very boring. So tell me down below if you've read this series. Is the 3rd book worth picking up? Because I didn't like this one very much. I saw all of the things that people were talking about in this series, in this book, because I just hated Alexander by the end of it, and I loved him in The Bronze Horseman. So I don't know whether I should pick up the last book or not. The next book I completed was The Girl in 6E by A.R. Tor. Everyone's been reading this because it's been said to read this if you liked You by Caroline Kepnes. I think that is a very bold statement to say because these books were nothing alike. I don't really know why people are describing it like You or anything like that. I ended up giving this book a 3 out of 5 stars. It was good. It was entertaining. I enjoyed it, but it didn't do it for me. The beginning of this book was excellent. I found it extremely fascinating, like nothing I've ever read before, but by the end I was just like, okay, this is dumb. In this book we follow a girl who has locked herself in an apartment for I believe 3 years, and she refuses to meet another person face to face in real life because she thinks she will kill them if she meets another person. So she locks herself in an apartment and becomes a cam girl and does sexual things on a camera for people on the other side, you know, that kind of stuff. So this definitely is very sexually explicit and violently explicit and stuff like that. So don't pick this up if you don't like that kind of stuff. But it was very fascinating in the beginning. I'd never read about a character like this, but by the end it was just too ridiculous for me. The next book that I read was The Wine-Up Bird Chronicle by Haruki Murakami. This is another one of my all-time favorite books now. This was the first Murakami book that I read, and after this book I decided to read a ton more Murakami. But I did an entire book review if you want to click right here or down below. But yes, this obviously got a 5 out of 5 stars, and I honestly have never had a book rival Three Souls by Jenny Chang as my all-time favorite book, but this is actually up there. So I highly suggest watching my review and seeing more of my thoughts on this book because it was excellent. I obviously loved it so much. The next book I completed was The City of Thebes by David Benoff. I ended up giving this a 3 out of 5 stars. It was a solid book. It was entertaining. It's very, very quick read. But it just didn't do it for me. I found it quite funny. It was humorous. It actually did an amazing job of showing the horrors of war, but with a humorous side to it. that is the part that I really enjoyed of it. Of course, I didn't really feel a very strong connection to any of the characters, or really what was going on. I had trouble connecting to the whole situation, but it definitely was a much more light-hearted World War II novel. But it was horrible also because sometimes it would be so light and funny and then it would just hit you in the face with intensity. But it was a very fun, if you can call it that, World War II book. The next book that I read was Norwegian Wood, also by Haruki Murakami. I also did a full book review on this one if you'd like to click here or down below. This book was not my favorite. I only gave it about a 2.5 to a 3 out of 5 stars. It was good because it was Murakami, but it was definitely not my favorite thing that I read this month. It was a little bit on the boring side, but, you know, you can see more of my thoughts in my review. And also this month, I read Kafka on the Shore by Haruki Murakami. I am on a Murakami kick, can you tell? This is also a new favorite book of mine. I absolutely adored it. It was wonderful. It was so good. I loved it a lot. And you can see my full review on this book if you want to click here. But this was another amazing Murakami book. I love Murakami. I really highly suggest him. And the last thing that I read this month was Deadpool, the first volume. I only gave this a 3 out of 5 stars because I've just discovered I'm not the biggest fan of superhero comics. I find them very repetitive. Basically this was just Deadpool fighting a bunch of people with no character or plot development whatsoever. But it was extremely funny. Deadpool's humor is amazing, and I must say they did a really good job in the movie of portraying him. I think they did. They were like spot on with him, if I'm honest. But yes, I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. Deadpool, man. He's pretty great. So these are the 8 books that I read this month. I did reviews for quite a lot of them. So definitely be sure to check those out. But yeah, I mean, pretty successful reading month if you ask me. I read some good sized books. But anyways, I love you all and I'll see y'all soon. Bye!